All right, welcome and hello to the Blizzard stage at Gamescom in Cologne. We're coming to you live from Germany. And as you can hear, everyone is as excited as can get in this lovely hall. And I'm pretty sure every World of Warcraft fan out there watching the stream is bursting with excitement because in just a few minutes, we're going to reveal the new World of Warcraft expansion. We're going to have 3 members of the lovely World of Warcraft development team coming here on this stage, revealing the expansion and sharing everything they can with us today. But before all of that is going to happen, I just want to make sure that we're all up at speed, right? We want to know where we stand right now in World of Warcraft, and that's why we prepared a little video for you on the story so far. And I tell you something, apparently I have been told that there's a little surprise at the end, so let's try to watch out for that, and let's look at the video.
The Iron Horde will prevail, and all that stand against us will die.
Storm the portal!
Rise up, Iron Horde! Bring your war chief. Their heads. This was not our destiny. You will all die!
Just you.
You must answer for your crimes, Garrosh. All I did for the Horde! You chose your own destiny. How dare you show your face here, Gul'dan? Your men have died for nothing. There is only one choice. I will build a new Horde. I will forge an unstoppable weapon. They will defy you. Gul'dan failed. Jaina is free!
You don't think it's over?
I fear this is only beginning.
All right, so that is the story so far. Interesting. So now, of course, the big question is, where do we go next? What is happening next? And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one curious to that question, and that means we really want to know more, don't we? We do indeed. And who better to ask some questions and then the game director and vice president himself, Tom Chilton, ladies and gentlemen. Tom, it's always great to see you back. It's not your first Gamescom. You're looking at so many excited faces. How excited are you about this announcement?
No joke. This is really, really exciting. This is amazing. I love coming to Gamescom, and frankly, this is why.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing crowd. That's pretty darn obvious. Yeah, it really is. Now, you can tell the atmosphere here is pretty good, I would say.
Yeah,
it's pretty
I'd
darn
say
good.
so.
How is it in the office? You guys have been working on a secret for such a long time now.
Yeah, we really have. We've been in production on this expansion for quite some time now, and it's always very hard to keep things under wraps and talk about what's happening right now and not really spoil things for the future too much. So it's really exciting for us, really gratifying for us to finally be able to share that with you all.
Well, the good thing is, I read a lot of suspicions and leaks, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone really hit the nail so far. So that, no one did. And that makes it all the more exciting. Now, you brought us a little something to ease into the topic. What are we going to see now?
Right, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a video that it's really an important connecting point between the end of the storyline of Warlords of Draenor and the next expansion. And so hopefully you guys will really get excited for what that connecting point is.
All right, so let's take a look at it. Oh my God. I'm actually having goosebumps right now. I can't even. All right, let's talk about what we just saw. This is part of the CGI, if I understood correctly.
Well, this is actually a completely independent piece that is just meant to be a connecting tissue between the expansions. You know, clearly Khadgar was right not to trust what just happened with Gul'dan, that we wouldn't see the last of him. So Gul'dan, in much the same way that Garrosh Hellscream set in motion the events of Warlords of Draenor, Gul'dan is setting up the events of the next expansion.
Oh my God. Guys, are you excited for this expansion or what? Wow. All right, but of course, there's a lot more before we're going to reveal, because that isn't even the big reveal yet. There's more to come. You guys have more to share, as you have a team of development guys here on stage in just a bit to talk about it and give some more in-depth views on it and see how much you can share. But you brought us another video, right?
Yeah, we did. So next up, we're going to see the actual announcement trailer with the features and content. So let's roll it.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this announcement trailer right now.
On Draenor, old rivals sought to bring Azeroth to its knees. And while the Iron Tide was quelled, they were but servants of a more ancient foe that has not forgotten our defiance. The vengeance of the Burning Shadow has come. And in our most desperate hour, we must wield the power of the enemy against them. For we stand once more upon the brink of destruction. burning legion has returned.
All right. World of Warcraft Legion. That's the next chapter in the saga of the World of Warcraft. So what we have for you next is actually going to be a presentation by both myself and a couple of my other colleagues to go into more depth on the content and the features. So hopefully you guys will learn a lot more about the expansion. But first, let me introduce my colleagues. First up, we have Alex Afrasiabi, our creative director. So Alex was one of our very first quest designers, and he was actually the very first lead quest designer ever to exist on the World of Warcraft team. He's driven a huge part of our story development for the last dozen years. So Alex. Next up, we have Hazzikostas, lead game designer. So as lead game designer, Ian's responsible for a lot of things. Most recently, you guys may be aware that he's been responsible for our boss encounters for both dungeons and raids for many, many years now, several expansions. In addition, he's been responsible for class design and other sorts of systems. So really a huge, huge factor in the last 7 or 8 years of the World of Warcraft. Ian. All right, so to get to the point, we're first going to be talking about story, give you a little bit more insight into the events of World of Warcraft Legion. What you see on the screen right here is actually a teaser still shot from the introductory cinematic that will be revealed at a later date, coming relatively soon. So eat it up. Right there, clearly, a pretty significant characters involved. We'll also be talking about setting. As mentioned in the video, the Broken Isles is this new continent that players haven't experienced before, but has been referenced back in Warcraft 3. We'll be giving you more insight into the zones and the inhabitants of those zones and what happens. We'll also be talking about dungeons and raids. We've got to have dungeons and raids. We'll be talking about those artifact weapons you saw about. A little concept piece there from our team. Neat stuff. We'll be talking about Demon Hunters, of course, new class, and finally the new PvP honor system. We'll be going into detail on exactly what that is and how it works. So I'm going to hand it off to Alex to talk about our story and setting.
Thanks, Tom. Well, well. Hello, Gamescom. I am honored to be standing before you today to be talking about our new expansion. I do want to mention one thing. I am not Chris Metzen. I'm a little taller, my nose is bigger. That's how they tell us apart at work. All right, let's get to it. So Legion takes place on the Broken Isles. This is a land at the heart of Azeroth that is long forgotten. 10,000 years ago, before the Great Sundering, this whole area was a vast, bustling night elf civilization. And what we have now, after the world was destroyed, is the bones of that civilization. So this continent, in its entirety, is a graveyard of sorts. And it's on this continent that we will discover the Tomb of Sargeras. That's right, some old school War 3 players. Now the tomb is an active gateway to endless Legion worlds thanks to Gul'dan. A demonic invasion bigger than the War of the Ancients is currently underway. Let me repeat this. This is the biggest demonic invasion of Azeroth ever. And what are we gonna do about it? We're gonna sit around? We're gonna fight. That's right, because that's what we do. And to do that, we're gonna track down the source of this invasion at the Broken Shore and take the fight directly to Gul'dan and his demonic armies. And after a glorious battle at the Tomb of Sargeras, our story will begin. So this whole thing will actually start before the expansion even officially launches. The Broken Shore experience, someone's happy. The Broken Shore experience is like the Assault on the Dark Portal for Warlords, but structured completely differently to help tell the story a little bit better. And I think one of the things that's going to happen after this experience is every single person in this room that has played WoW in the last 5 to 10 years is going to be really, really surprised and shocked. 100% sure on that one. Is that right? I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate from Twitter on that. Okay, so let's get into it. Once the dust settles, after the Broken Shore, we will wake up to a world on fire and probably a massive headache. But we're not going to let a headache stop us from saving our world. Oh yes. We will hoist up the fabled artifacts of those we have lost and those that have lost hope. And we will attempt to restore peace to a world on the brink of annihilation. And to help do that, we'll form class orders, powerful class orders, or renew old ones, like the Silver Hand. This is a combination of extremely super exciting features for us. Ian's going to go into a lot more detail on that shortly, but it's amazing, guys. How are we feeling about those demon hunters, guys? Sorry, I can't hear you. I was getting water. How about those demon hunters? Good? We're going to need all the help we can get to fight the Burning Legion. And who better than demon hunters? I mean, it's in their name. But to do that properly for us, we need to establish context. Because guys, the last time we faced demon hunters at all, they all wanted to kill us, mostly. And after this, they may still want to kill us a little bit. So, we will see through Illidan's eyes the story of the demon hunters, the Illidari. We will go back to the moment during the siege of the Black Temple where we see Illidan send his demon hunter Illidari back on a special mission. So, anyone play Burning Crusade in here? Yeah! So you guys remember, back in the Burning Crusade, when we were running up the Black Temple in the halls, and we were all excited to go take out Illidan, and we're praying for Warglaives to drop. Well, Illidan had other things going on in the background, like sending his best, most elite demon hunters on a suicide mission. So we'll go through their past into the shattered demonic prison world of Mardum. This is the world that Sargeras created when he was a good Titan to hold all of the demons that he captured in the entirety of the universes. And when Sargeras went bad, This is the world he shattered and released what would become the Burning Legion. We'll go there. And we'll come into the present, where we will go through the secret halls of the Vault of the Wardens. And when all is said and done, we will learn what it means to be a demon hunter and understand the true meaning of sacrifice. And we'll turn into awesome metamorphosized demon hunters. Tom's going to talk on that later. But guys, this is Warcraft. And I did say that this was the biggest Legion invasion we have ever faced. So I don't know if artifacts and demon hunters are going to be enough. We're going to have to turn to the big guy in the sky, or big guys and gals in the sky. And I'm talking about the Titans. Yes! No, well. We're going to scour the Broken Isles for the Pillars of Creation. These are Titan relics that were used to shape the world when it was young, when it was first born. And it's only with these relics that we can actually close this massive gateway, this wound at the heart of the Tomb of Sargeras. Now, speaking of help, Dalaran and the mages of the Kirin Tor, now led by Khadgar, will also be joining us. And that means Dalaran is going to be coming to the Broken Isles and becoming a main hub for players for this expansion. Let's hear some love for Dalaran. We all love it. Now, I can't say where Jaina went, but she was pissed off when she left. Now, let's talk about some zones in no particular order. Our quest to defeat the Burning Legion goes to Val-Shara. Once the pinnacle of Druidism on Azeroth, now a forgotten Druid refuge on the Broken Isles. This is the place, guys, that Malfurion became the first Druid under Cenarius. So this whole area is steeped in really rich lore, especially if you're a fan of Night Elven Druidic lore. It's all here for you. Here we'll face Xavius, the Nightmare Lord, and his massive Satyr armies. And what are they trying to do? What does Xavius always try to do? He's trying to unleash the Emerald Nightmare into our world. So along the way, we'll meet up with demigods, like Cenarius, and aspects, probably Ysera, definitely Ysera, all to help us fight back the Nightmare. And we'll also enter the Obsidian Fortress of Blackbrook Hold. So if you know your lore, you should be pretty stoked. And Ian's going to show you some awesome stuff there later too. But if we can't fight back Xavius and stop the Nightmare from coming into our world, it's pointless. Pillar or no pillar, we can't beat the Legion. So what are we going to do? We're going into the Emerald Nightmare, and we're going to dispense some justice. And while we're there, we're going to get a couple big glimpses into the Emerald Dream. We've been talking about it for a while, and it's time. All right. On to Stormheim. In Stormheim, we're going to uncover the fate of Vrykul that left Northrend thousands of years ago in search of their Holy Land. We'll discover the Halls of Valor and Helheim, home to two Titan Keepers that have been warring for thousands of years. We'll also learn of the origins of the Valkyr and the Kvaldir as we ride the massive ship of souls, the Naglfar, into the Maw of Hell. And all the while this is going on, we'll be fighting the Vrykul's God King and his minions, who are now pawns of the Burning Legion. Stormheim's a beautiful area, by the way, and totally scary. Azuna. Oh, beautiful Azuna. So you know when I first talked about what this expansion was built upon. The bones of that ancient Night Elf civilization. Nowhere is it better represented than in Azuna. The first moment you step on the territory, on the zone here, you will instantly see that this place was once something very special. And it's still special in a different way. Here we'll discover the ghosts of ancient Night Elves of the area, a dying breed of the Blue Dragon flight, and we'll be introduced to the Nightfallen, exiled royalty from Suramar that have been left to die outside the protected walls of their city. We'll also be racing someone named Queen Ijara and her minions for control of the Pillar of Creation in the zone. Overall, pretty epic experience. Moving on. High Mountain. High Mountain. At the highest point of the Broken Isles, we find High Mountain, home to the High Mountain Tauren, the keepers of the relic of Khaz'goroth. Also, the keepers of really badass horns, if you paid attention to that cinematic before us. If you didn't, you gotta check it out. Huge elk horns. High Mountain's rough terrain. Rough, tough, it'll kill you. Which is why only the biggest and strongest creatures of the Broken Isles live up here. Like the Drogbar. And we're gonna have to kill a lot of Drogbar to save this world. And while we're there, we're gonna visit the lair of the Earth Warder, Neltharion, and seek some answers, and hopefully get some answers. For those of you that don't know, Neltharion, during the War of the Ancients, became Deathwing. You know, that guy knows. Became Deathwing, and then during Cataclysm, he just became dead. And so, we don't have him to worry about anymore, but we have other things. While we're up here, we may also run into some other friends. This is a big area, there's big game, there's a big hunt. Nessingwary is going to be close by. A lot of Nessingwary love. And lastly for today, guys, I'm going to hit on Suramar. At the heart of Suramar, we will discover a new race of elves, made off of an old race of elves. These elves have lived here for the last 10,000 years and flourished from the use or abuse of their incredible magical ability. Unfortunately, they have become pawns of the Burning Legion as well. More bad news, they have the last relic that we need. So what that means is we'll have to kill every single one of them, plus all of the elite Legion guards that guard their city, and probably Gul'dan to secure that last relic. I didn't say it was going to be easy. One last thing before I hand it off to Ian. I want to head off one question. I know there will be thousands of them after this presentation is over, but one question. This is a question that we have been asked at every single BlizzCon since the inception of BlizzCon. And I'm happy to announce it here at Gamescom. What about Valeria and Turalyon? Their time is here. Thank you. Ian?
All right, hello Gamescom. Thank you, Alex, for that great introduction to the Broken Isles and the World of Legion. And I want to talk a bit about artifacts and class orders that you saw in the intro video, and then we'll move on to talk about dungeons and raids. So, artifacts. Weapons, obviously, but what are they? What's the deal with them? So, as Alex mentioned, the Legion represents the greatest single threat to our world that we have ever faced. And in order to fight this ultimate enemy, we need the ultimate weapons. We need weapons of greater power than any we've ever had before in order to stand a chance. And that's where artifacts come into play. Every single specialization in the game is going to have their own artifact to seek out and to wield and to use against the Legion. So depending on your class and your spec, that will heavily affect the way your story plays out and what you're interacting with in terms of the system. So, well, what are they? How do they fit in? The first thing you're going to do when you begin the Legion experience after the events of the Broken Shore is seek out the artifact for your spec. Follow your destiny and heed that calling to take up this ultimate weapon. And that experience is going to vary depending on what class and what spec you play. So for example, if you're a Retribution Paladin, you'll be returning to the location of the Broken Shore to find and seek out Ashbringer, where it fell in battle and was lost, so that you can take it up and wield it. If you're a Protection Warrior, you will follow up on the legends of an ancient Vrykul king who was buried with a sword and shield forged from the scales of the dragon Neltharion, who later went on to become Deathwing. You will delve into his tomb and overcome the ancient curses that lay there in order to wield those weapons for yourself. If you're a Frost Death Knight, well, what is the ultimate Frost Death Knight weapon? Frostmourne, right? Well, Frostmourne was shattered. But the first thing you're going to do is go to Icecrown Citadel, find and seek out the shards of the weapon where they lay after the fateful encounter with the Lich King at the end of Wrath of the Lich King. You will take those shards up and you will reforge them into a pair of rune blades that are the ultimate Frost Death Knight weapons. So these artifacts, they are your true companions. They are the things upon which you will rely as you journey through the Broken Isles and through the world of Legion. As you level up, you gain experience, your character gains levels. But as you accomplish deeds in the world, you will also earn artifact power for your weapon. Artifact power is something you will earn through a wide variety of activities, whether completing a major quest line, killing a dungeon boss, outdoor objectives, winning a PvP battleground. Virtually any major type of activity in World of Warcraft will contribute to leveling up your artifact. Now, this artifact power that you earn, what do you do with it? Well, you're going to spend it to unlock traits that empower your weapon and empower your own character. In addition, you can also have a number of visual customizations that you'll be able to unlock and explore. Ultimately, you control the destiny of your artifact. You customize the path in which you unlock those traits, and you choose your path to greatness. Now let's get into the system a little bit more. So, Ashbringer. This is a quick screenshot of the UI for Ashbringer. Now, each artifact has a trait tree like this. It's kind of a grid that is overlaid on the outline of the weapon itself. And as you earn artifact power, you can spend them to unlock these traits. Once you unlock a trait, the adjacent nodes unlock and become things that you can spend power in. And ultimately, you choose what you want to work towards. You choose how you want to navigate this tree and what you want your weapon to be. And at the far ends of the trees are major impactful abilities, such as the one we see on the screen here. This is something that will essentially cause your Ashbringer to duplicate some of your most powerful abilities. Let's look at the Frost Death Knights. Again, different weapons, different silhouette to the weapons, and therefore a different outline to the grid, but ultimately the same general concept. You begin at a central location and work your way towards the things that you most want. As you earn power, spend that power on traits, and unlock powers. Some of these are going to be simple damage increases. Others are things that transform your rotation. Others are new major types of utility, like the one we see here, that allows a Death Knight to basically use Ray's ally on themselves, to resurrect themselves in the heat of battle. Now, visual customization. So this was something that may have flashed by really quickly in the trailer earlier. As we see in the menu here, this Ashbringer, but then also a number of different variants on Ashbringer. We understand that in a world where many Red Paladins will wield Ashbringer, it's important to really be able to feel unique and like your expression is like your weapon is an expression of the character that you want to play, of the things that you value, and of your accomplishments in the world. So these different looks to the weapon are things that you will be able to unlock through a wide variety of means. Some of them simply by leveling up your weapon, others by completing specific activities, whether they be raiding or PvP-oriented or more completionist things in the world as a whole. And within each of these looks, there's also a large number of color variants. So there's a tremendous total number of combinations for how you can have your artifact look. Now, with Ashbringer, what we generally did, and what we've done with all of the artifacts, is you get the base weapon that looks like the sword you know and love, that you've always seen in Tyrion Forgering's hand. It's the Ashbringer. Then there's sort of an evolved, upgraded version of it that once you reach a certain level of power with your weapon, you'll be able to unlock. But then we gave our artists the challenge of really just going off in exciting, new, different directions with these weapons, of trying to reimagine the fantasy of the sword. And that led us to things like an Ashbringer that's made out of pure fire, or a corrupted, shadowy Ashbringer, or one that is shattered and being held together by crackling lightning. All of these have the basic silhouette of the weapon we know, but they have a very, very different feel ultimately, and there'll be things for you to work towards and use as an expression of the character you want to play. So I know I've talked a lot about Ashbringer. Let's look at some other weapons. So if you're a Mistweaver monk, your adventure will begin by returning to Pandaria to seek out the staff of the Emperor Xiao Hao, who's really integral to the very legend and the essence of the continent of Pandaria. So here on the far left, we see the base weapon that you'll initially acquire, then an upgraded version of it. But then we've reimagined that staff in the, with the inspiration drawn from the various animal gods of Pandaria, whether it's Yulan, the jade serpent in the center, or Chi-Ji, the red crane on the far right, or a Sha-influenced, Sha-corrupted staff, second from the right in between those two. Those are all things to work towards, and again, you can kind of pick the look that you want, pick the thing that excites you most to be what you show off. Ashbringer. Exactly. I can't say enough about the amazing art and the work that our artists have done on these weapons. They just blow us away. So yeah, the base Ashbringer, the holy version, and then fiery, shadowy, and lightning. Large variants, but they all have that essence that says this is Ashbringer. Next up, a new one to many people. So Fellow Malorn. This was actually a spell sword wielded by the mage Kael'thas. Kael'thas used this in his battle against the Lich King at Icecrown Citadel, and the sword was lost there. So if you play a fire mage, you will begin the expansion by seeking out that blade. And when you take it up, you see the base version on the left. It is, a very Blood Elf origin fire spell blade, an evolved version, but then the fantasy goes in different directions from there if you want to customize it in a fell direction, or sort of a molten lava direction, or that heavy Titan-influenced one on the far right that has a very different feel to it. It's all up to you. The Eagle Spear. So this is something that is new to the lore. It's heavily associated with the High Mountain Tauren. This is basically a fabled weapon of the Tauren tribe in High Mountain that you will seek out. You will track down the powerful creature that claimed the life of its last wielder, defeat that creature, and take this for yourself. The animal inspirations for the spear, you see, the base version is sort of themed after the eagle. Then in the center we have a wolf theme, a serpent, and a bear on the far right. This weapon will be something that survival hunters can seek out and claim. So next up, Frost Death Knights. So these are the blades that you will forge from the shattered shards of the greatest Death Knight weapon of all time, Frostmourne. The base version on the left, and then the initial upgraded version second from the left. Now for these weapons, we actually didn't go in such crazy different directions. We didn't do a fiery sword. I mean, they're all kind of, it's a question of what you like most as Death Knight. Do you like skulls, or frost, or more skulls, or different skulls? But they're all different variations on the essence, the fantasy of what being a Death Knight is. And when you think Runeblade, this is what comes to mind. That is what your artifact needs to mean to you. Doomhammer. So this weapon will be claimed by Enhancement Shamans. Enhancement Shamans will seek them out and pair this hammer with a pair in your offhand that is made of pure energy so that you can dual wield properly. The base version, of course, the one we know and love that we've seen Thrall carrying around for so long, and then various variants of it, the fell version in the center, a fiery one to the right of that, and then a magical crystalline one on the far right. All the essence of Doomhammer, but different fantasies to explore. Let's see, what's up next? So, Feral Druids. So, Feral Druids can seek out the fangs of the first Nightsaber. And on the far left here, we see a Druid with the base initial artifact that just claimed it. He's like a level 100 Druid. He's been playing the expansion for an hour or two. In the middle, we see a Druid with the upgraded fangs of the first Nightsaber. He's been playing for much longer. He's attained a more powerful artifact. On the far right side, we see a Druid with spectral fangs of the Nightsaber, and it's a totally different look of the weapon. I mean, you can see how awesome the weapon is, right? Oh, right, yeah. I guess you can't really see the weapons on Feral Druids and Guardians. That's a shame. I mean, being able to customize your weapons so much and then not being able to show it off, well, that's unfortunate. Okay, just kidding. So if you're a Feral Druid, or if you're a Guardian Druid, instead of customizing the look of your artifact, you will customize the look of your form. So on the left, here we see a Druid with the base fangs for the first Nightsaber. On the right, that spectral variant. Now, of course, there's many different color variations on each of these, and more entirely different models that we just couldn't fit on this slide, but there'll be the same number of variants as every other class has. So that's something for, Feral Druids and Guardian Druids to look forward to. Oh, and by the way, yeah, on the last slide, that was an updated high-res version of the base cat form, in case you were wondering. Okay, so that's some of what artifacts have in store for you. We're going to have a lot more to discuss, in the future, but that should kind of give you the gist of what they're all about. Now, class orders. So, as Alex mentioned, in the aftermath of the events at the Broken Shore, our world is in flames, and we are struggling to survive in the face of the Legion threat that will just overwhelm and destroy us all if we don't stop it. And the Alliance and Horde, they're just not going to be able to come together and work together in the ways that need to happen to overcome this threat. But instead, it's the classes that actually band together to do that. Whether it's ancient orders like the Silver Hand at Light's Hope Chapel, or the Mages of Dalaran, they're coming together, working together as a class to save the world and to do what needs to be done. And of course, they look to you as their leader, because you are the one who has just retrieved a fabled artifact of incomparable power. You are the wielder of Ashbringer. You are the wielder of Doomhammer. Who else would lead them if not you? And so this really underscores one of the central themes of the Legion expansion, which is really a heavy focus on class identity. We want you to feel, if you're a warlock, to feel like a warlock, and for that to feel different than being a paladin, because they're about very different things. Even if their goals are the same at the end of the day, which is to defeat the Legion, they're going to go about it in very different ways. They're going to have very different allies. They're going to have very different powers to call upon in the process. So the order halls represent a base of operations for your class. They're kind of like a private clubhouse that you share with other members of your class. It's a shared space where you'll see other paladins running around or other shamans. It's not personal like the garrison, but it is a private space just for members of your class. The best analog is probably something like Acheris, the Death Knights are familiar with, the necropolis floating above the Plaguelands that is only accessible to Death Knights. So, and these will be in locations that are thematically appropriate, and one of the second thing you do after claiming your artifact is going to be to found and come upon your order hall and establish it. So shamans will be in a hollowed out cave overlooking the Maelstrom at a point where all of the elements come together, where lightning crackles in the sky overhead and molten earth churns in the middle of a swirling whirlpool. Paladins are going to discover a hidden Templar sanctum beneath Light's Hope Chapel, where they will make their home. Now, warlocks really aren't comfortable unless there's, fellfire raining from the sky, demons all over the place. So the Warlock Order Hall is actually going to be on a Legion portal world where, only they can travel because that's what they do. That's what warlocks are. That's part of being a warlock. So this is a screenshot of the Paladin class Order Hall beneath Light's Hope. This was, something that was shown briefly in the video, and every class is going to have their own unique space that they will return to with unique functions. This will be the place where you go to customize and upgrade your artifact. This will be the place where you have certain special quests and other missions available to you, and it's, tied to your class identity first and foremost. So in your order hall, you're going to have champions of your class, of your order. Now, this is an evolution of the Draenor follower system. Whereas in Draenor, you were raising an army, right? You needed to defeat the Iron Horde, so you went out into the world and you were recruiting anyone that you could get your hands on, regardless of what race they were, regardless of what class they were. Anyone who wanted to help you fight the Iron Horde, you wanted their help. But numbers are not going to work against the Burning Legion. We can't defeat them through numbers alone. They are infinite. If we don't seal the portal at the Tomb of Sargeras, nothing will stop them. So your champions, if you're a paladin, or maybe minions if you're a warlock, or apprentices or adepts if you're a mage, These are far fewer in number, but far more important. Many of them may be established characters like Lady Liadrin, the Blood Elf Paladin, and they are going to have more customization, but more importantly, more integration with the world. Our idea, in terms of how we want to carry this system forward, is not to have your followers or your champions doing things instead of you, but to have them enabling you to do greater deeds and to go out into the world. So maybe they go on a scouting mission and discover a lair that you then go to investigate. Or maybe you send them to a zone that then gives you bonuses when you are adventuring in that zone and completing objectives there. You'll work alongside them and with them rather than sort of having them compete with you in terms of the rewards that you're getting and that you're seeking out. We'll have a lot more to talk about regarding the system in the future, but I just wanted to kind of lay out some of our general philosophies for how we're thinking about it and how it's different from the garrisons and followers in Draenor. So, dungeons and raids. So I'm going to start with dungeons. And before I go into any specifics, I want to just take a minute to stress that we feel like we've done dungeons a bit of a disservice. Dungeons are essential. They are at the heart of what makes the MMO experience awesome. Going into a dungeon is going in and cooperating with a small group of your friends to overcome a challenge. And we want to make sure that there are more dungeons in Legion than before, that there is more varied challenges, more replayability, and more of a long-term reason to keep doing dungeons throughout the expansion. We don't want dungeons to be something that you just do for a month at the start and then forget once you've started to do raids. That said, let's talk specifics. So first up, the Halls of Valor. As Alex mentioned, this is one of the level-up dungeons that is high up in the clouds over Stormheim. And this is sort of a look at the dungeon itself. This is sort of, you look at the grand entrance, this is what you see when you first zone in. The Halls of Valor, very heavily inspired by Valhalla, right? The core Norse Viking fantasy. This is the place where the greatest warriors of the Vrykul are called to serve in the skies. And this is their eternal reward for being the greatest. Now, what brings you here is actually, over the course of Stormheim, as you are seeking out the Pillar of Creation from this zone that will help you seal up the Tomb of Sargeras, you are contending with the Legion cooperating leader of the Vrykul, the God King. And as you contend with him and race against him through the zone, both of your paths lead you to this place, which is the ultimate resting location of the Pillar, and you must prove yourself worthy in battle so that you may claim it and not him. Otherwise, we're all doomed. Also in this place, we're going to learn a lot more and witness more about the origin of the Valkyr. Now, these are not the undead, scourge-influenced Valkyr that you remember in Northrend. This is the more pure Valkyr, the Shield Maiden, the Warrior of the Light, that is as core a part of the fantasy as the Vrykul themselves. Next, Blackrook Hold. Blackrook Hold is going to be a max-level dungeon in the zone of Val-Shara. This was the ancestral home of Lord Ravencrest. And this is an elven structure unlike any elven structure you've ever seen before. It was a military fortress, a bulwark against the Legion, that was carved out of a single giant piece of stone, basically carved out of the mountain itself to be this impenetrable, unassailable fortress. But a dark shadow has fallen across this place now. So here we see a screenshot of this is sort of the interior main entry hall of Blackrook Hold. I think next up, this is a side hallway. You can see some light streaming in from the windows. Players are going to begin essentially in the basement, in the underground catacombs beneath Blackrook Hold, and work their way from the outside all the way to the very top of the spire, where they will confront the true threat and the evil that is corrupting the castle itself. This is a look from the outside courtyard, looking up at the walls and towers of the complex. This is an elven structure, but again, it's not quite like any elven structure you may have seen before. Next, the Vault of the Wardens. So this is a place that will be very familiar to demon hunters. As a demon hunter, and Tom will tell you a bit about this in the next bit, this is where you awaken. This was the Warden maximum security facility. Wardens being those awesome cloaked figures like Maiev that you may remember from Burning Crusade. This is where they have kept all of the greatest threats to the world. Demon hunters among them, but also countless other terrifying monsters. And this is the place where the events of that cinematic that you saw before the before the expansion announcement trailer happened, where Gul'dan found Illidan, where he was encased beneath the vault. Now, what was he up to? What is his plan? What is his purpose? We don't know, but it's a sure bet that it's nothing good. It's nothing that we want to have happen. And so we're going to begin investigating that mystery. We're going to begin hunting down Gul'dan and Illidan in this place. So here we see, this is one of the top levels of the Vault of the Wardens. We see some of the owl symbolism and that crescent half-moon shape that is their characteristic glaive that they wield. We see that prominently throughout this place. Very ornate, but also a place of great darkness and great evil. This is a lower level of the dungeon. You see cells lining the walls where all manner of former inhabitants have been kept. So then, of course, we're going to have more dungeons. So let me talk quickly about some of those. So first off, we're going to have a dungeon in Azuna where you contend with the minions of Queen Azshara, with the Naga, that have been thwarting your actions every step of the way through the zone. We figured Eye of Azshara would be a good name for it for some reason. I'm not sure. Next up, Darkheart Thicket. This is in Val'Sharah. This is at the foot, the base of the World Tree Saladrisil that towers over the zone as a whole. This is the heart of the nightmare corruption that is infesting and spreading through the zone and which will eventually overtake our world if we don't stop it. So you are cutting your way through dark thickets and brambles into a chamber at the base of the tree itself, where you need to rescue Malfurion himself from the corruption and the clutches of the nightmare. Another dungeon is going to be Neltharion's Lair. Neltharion's Lair, as Alex mentioned, is in High Mountain. This was a cavern where thousands of years ago, the Earth Warder, the Black Dragon Neltharion, lived. This was before he became Deathwing, before his corruption, but he was still the most massive, the most giant of all the dragons. And the space that he's hollowed out reflects that. Since those times, this has become the center of the Drogbar society. These are the sort of rocky, fierce, brutal warriors of High Mountain. And we need to venture into their capital in order to recover the Pillar of Creation wielded by their chieftain. Helheim. Helheim, well, it's sort of in Stormheim, but it's not precisely in Stormheim. This is kind of the polar opposite of the Halls of Valor. Whereas the greatest warriors of the Vrykul ascend to the Halls of Valor, the cursed spirits get on the ship, Niflvar, that leads them to Helheim, where they are cursed for all eternity as Kvaldir. Now, if you like the Grimrail Depot dungeon in Warlords, if you like the idea of riding a train, well, I think you're going to like this one. This is the Ghost Ship of the Damned, and most of the dungeon takes place on this ship, sailing through stormy seas in an immersive environment that's quite unlike anything we've ever seen in a dungeon in WoW before. Really excited to get people to have their eyes on it. Next, Suramar City. This is the City of Night, where the Nightborn rule from their palace, but the city itself contains both catacombs beneath it and noble houses throughout the city, into which we will have to venture in order to uncover the ties to the Legion and the ultimate plan that is unfolding here. And, well, Violet Hold. So Dalaran, of course, is coming with us to the Broken Isles, and that means Violet Hold is coming with it. Now, it turns out there were some mysteries and deep secrets hidden within this place that we never uncovered the first time we were here. And bringing the city in proximity to the Tomb of Sargeras, once it comes to the Broken Isles, it awakens new secrets, new powers, new mysteries in this prison that we have to delve into, explore, and uncover. And we're going to learn a lot more about the origins of Dalaran, the origins of the mages of Dalaran, and actually the origins of the world itself. Raids. So, for raids, we're actually pretty happy with how the overall structure in Warlords of Draenor played out. We had, Highmaul initially with 7 bosses that opened up a few weeks after the release of the expansion, and then sometime after that, Blackrock Foundry with 10 bosses. So we're keeping that overall structure. We think that's a good amount of raid content, and that's kind of what we're aiming for, and that's what we want to deliver in Legion. So the first raid, this is going to be the Emerald Nightmare itself. We have heard from players, as long as we can remember, since really the first days of World of Warcraft, that they wanted to see the Emerald Dream. You fought those green dragons that came out of the portals, the 4 green dragons in early WoW. and you just wanted to go through those portals to see what was on the other side, right? Well, now you get to. The Emerald Dream was created by the Titans as a blueprint for Azeroth itself. It was the perfect, untarnished, unspoiled version of our world, verdant and green and full of life. But something has gone horribly wrong here, and the Emerald Dream has descended into corruption, into nightmare, and that threatens to spread into our world and engulf it. So, whereas in the dungeon, we descend into the roots of the tree, for the raid, we're initially actually going to climb up into the tree itself and actually cross through the barrier that separates our reality from the reality of the dream. We will go in, root out corruption, seek out Cenarius, and ultimately confront Xavius himself at the heart of the nightmare in this ultimate conflict that will end the corruption of the Emerald Dream. Our next raid, Suramar Palace. So this is the palace in the city of Suramar, where the Grand Magistrix, who has brokered this dark deal with the Legion, looks over everything and runs the city. The Legion has come here for a dark purpose, and they have used and corrupted one of the Titan pillars of creation to shape their society, to create this Nightwell, a conduit of dark energy that is the center of Suramar's power. So this is a 10-boss raid, very traditional, somewhat reminiscent of Black Temple in terms of its layout and structure. You begin in an underground catacomb, essentially a back entry because you can't go through the front gate, work your way up to sort of outdoor balconies, royal quarters, and eventually to the heart of the Nightwell itself. We will confront both the Grand Magistrix and Gul'dan, who has come here as an ambassador of the Legion. We've been chasing Gul'dan for a long time, since really the beginning of Warlords of Draenor, when we made that fateful mistake of clicking on him and setting him free to begin our Warlords experience. But finally, he's cornered, he's not going to be able to run after this. Gul'dan is the ultimate boss of Suramar Palace Raid. Now, I just wanted to show you a concept of what the palace itself is going to look like. And I know if you really love orcs and spikes and fire and fel, this might disappoint you. I know you might have been hoping for yet another raid since you heard Gul'dan. Okay, it's going to be a green orc raid, right? No. This is the Royal Elven City, the Palace of Suramar. They are an elevated, elegant, magical race, magical civilization, and their architecture reflects that. So this is going to be a very different type of look for a raid than we've seen in the recent past, and I can't wait to have you explore it. Can't wait until you can see it for yourselves. So without further ado, let's hear more about the thing you all want to hear about. Let me hand it off to Tom, and he'll tell you all about the Demon Hunter.
All right, the Demon Hunter. Dämonenjäger. Yeah? Let's talk first about character creation. Obviously, character creation is a huge part of building your character and really getting into it, getting a sense for what the character is. So we have a slew of different options for you that are really unique to the Demon Hunter so that you can really feel like it's properly expressing the class. So here's a lineup of a variety of different options that we'll have for you. As you can see, one of the kind of features that first jumps out and grabs your eyes is the horns. The Demon Hunters have the ability to have horns, a number of different horn styles, horn types, horn sizes. We'll even have the option to have no horns at all if there's something mentally wrong with you. Of course, we have some other features too. We have the tattoos that you see. A lot of Demon Hunter class-specific armor really kind of exposes those muscles so you can show off your awesome tats. Different types of tattoos, different shapes, different colors, all sorts of good times there. We have skin variations, some of them scaly and demonic, others normal. And then finally, we also have the different types of eyewear. So you can have the traditional Illidan-style eyewear, or you can have a veil, or some other different kinds of looks. So, taking a look at all that and really kind of getting a sense for what that is, let's look at what that looks like on the actual character creation screen. All right, so right at the end there, you got to get a little glimpse into what it looks like to be a metamorphosized Demon Hunter. So let's take a look at what that is, and let's explore more what the entire Demon Hunter experience is. And so the Demon Hunter, as you might have seen in the video, is a hero class. And to us, what that means is they have a very unique starting experience, a lot the same way that the Death Knight did in Wrath of the Lich King. So the Demon Hunter will both have that unique kind of experience and also start at a very high level so that you can immediately flow into the Legion content and not have to go through older content to do that. So the Demon Hunter Awoken. Demon Hunter first comes into our storyline after having been awoken in the Vault of the Wardens. The Wardens, desperate because of the Legion invasions, have thrown the switch to awaken the Demon Hunters, desperate for their help, because when you're going to fight the Legion, Demon Hunters might come in handy. It's kind of part of the name, like Alex said. But before you do that, you'll actually get to take part in the events that take place 10 years back in time at the Black Temple, when you, as a member of the Illidari, are sent off by Illidan on a crucial mission to the world of Mardoom. And so you get to see that little world of Mardoom right here. Take a look at a video that shows that. So that's a little glimpse of what our world would look like, Azeroth, if we fail in our mission to stop the Legion. Don't want that. Otherwise, might as well all be warlocks. All right, so next up, we want to talk a little bit about specs and skills. So the Demon Hunter obviously is going to have specs like other classes will. And those specs that we're going to be talking about are Havoc and Vengeance. Havoc is the DPS spec, Vengeance being a tanking spec. So for the Demon Hunters, we're actually going to be doing 2 specs. The reason for that is, as we thought about Demon Hunters and what they might be and what the fantasy of a Demon Hunter is, clearly DPS comes to mind. I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't include DPS. So that's kind of an automatic. We also thought it'd be really cool because metamorphosis is a big part of being a Demon Hunter, and we have these awesome metamorphosized forms that'd be great to be a tank. That could be a really fun experience that makes sense with being a Demon Hunter also. Demon Hunter healer though, not so much. A little bit weird for us, so we felt like that was kind of out of the picture. So at that point, the question becomes, do we do 2 Demon Hunter DPS specs, or do we do 2 tanking specs? And as we really started to flesh out what the ideas for those specs might be, we felt like it was just kind of watering down the identity of the class. So instead, we wanted to concentrate the coolness and really focus on 1 melee spec, 1 DPS, and 1 tanking spec. So we feel like that's really the right thing for the Demon Hunter to make them both awesome. So here's a couple of different abilities that are unique to Demon Hunters, of course. The first one we have here is Fell Rush, where you can rush forward, dealing a bunch of damage to anybody in your path. Generates Fury, also Demonic Fury. That's your resource. As you use some abilities, they build up Demonic Fury, and other abilities cost Demonic Fury. Fell Rush also has an interesting characteristic of having multiple charges, so you can charge multiple times in battle. We have Chaos Strike, which is pretty basic Demonic Fury spender to do a bunch of damage, everybody in front of you. Chaos Nova, that does area effect damage and also stuns people in a radius on a cooldown. You can also use a ranged ability called Eye Beam. Use those cool little eyewear that you have to focus those beams. Zap a bunch of enemies at range. Spectral Sight, that's something that's very unique to Demon Hunters and really kind of a defining trait of Demon Hunters. The ability there is when you turn on Spectral Sight, and that's kind of part of why you pulled your eyes out to be a Demon Hunter, is that it gives you the ability to see through walls. So you can see your enemies through the walls. Come in really handy in a lot of battlegrounds. In addition, Vengeful Retreat, another movement ability that helps keep Demon Hunters really mobile. But of course, if a demon hunter is going to retreat, he's going to do it vengefully. So first, we've got a couple little videos to show you what some of these abilities look like. The first one you're going to see is Fell Rush, just very simple, kind of dash forward. So let's look at that. There you go. Used multiple times in succession, right away, boom, boom. Wants to travel, wants to go through and deal damage. Next up, we have the I-beam ability. Give you a little sense of what that looks like. Zap. And then finally, we have an ability that's also unique to Demon Hunters to talk about that I haven't mentioned yet. That ability is something that we call double jump. So as a Demon Hunter, you're actually going to be able to jump, and then as you're in the air, jump again. Because you're more agile, you're quicker than other races or classes, and it's really cool and handy to be able to get over obstacles that no other class can actually get over. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Oh yeah, double jump. So next up, we have a little video that has a couple of these different combat abilities mixed together to give you a little bit more of a sense of what Demon Hunter combat looks and feels like. Good times. All right, so hopefully you guys are excited to play Demon Hunters as we are. I know around the office we're all kind of crazy in the head about it, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Next up, I want to talk about the new PvP honor system. Now, as we mentioned in this video, we're doing an entirely new PvP honor system, calling this version 3. And so to set a little bit of context for that, I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of the honor system over time and set the foundation for why it is that we're going to do what we're doing. So let's look back to version 1. So I had the great honor and opportunity to be able to do a lot of the design work on the original honor system. And at the time when we first launched it, early in World of Warcraft's lifetime, it was really intended to be something that gave players that wanted PvP something to get excited about and be able to progress in. But it had a couple of critical flaws that led to it being phased out in Burning Crusade. I don't know how many of you played back in the day, the original honor system. But it was pretty cool for a while. And that's because anytime you killed enemy players, you did battlegrounds, captured objectives, that sort of thing, you would gain honor. And at the end of the week, we would tally up all the honor that each player got. And then we would rank them based on how much honor they got compared to each other, which is fine and dandy in theory. The problem is, you guys are willing to spend an incredible amount of time every single day farming honor, making it impossible for a lot of people to keep up. We had players that weren't even playing their own characters, having their guildmates log in their characters so they could be the #1 honor character that week. Literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that character had to be in battlegrounds, fighting to retain their rank. And the moment they stopped, even after becoming a high warlord or grand marshal, they started losing their ranks. So that was a little bit too brutal. So in Burning Crusade, we moved to a system that was a lot simpler. It's also, carried us for a long time from Burning Crusade all the way to Warlords. That system is essentially a currency system, right? You kill enemy players, you get honor from battleground objectives, etc., and you get currency. You then buy stuff with it, buy PvP gear. It introduced the concept of PvP gear, and this kind of gave us one little tuning point for PvP. It meant that we could do set bonuses that would alter your character a little bit, but ultimately it was still essentially the same character that you're playing in PvE. And that had a lot of limitations, and it's kind of it's gotten aged. We feel like it's really time to update it and address some of those core issues. For example, we've gotten a lot of feedback that gear has way too much to do with PvP. And so we really want to dial back the effect that gear has. For example, if you look at a character here on the left, you're going to see a character that has the introductory honor gear. And their base item level in this case is only 620. You have a character on the right that has the fully maxed out conquest gear, and their item level at 700 makes them 80% more powerful, almost twice as powerful, even when you factor in both of them getting scaled up for PvP. Almost twice as powerful as the other player. And that doesn't really feel right in PvP. It's just not that fun to have players running around with that huge of a power disparity. So we felt like we needed a new system that addresses that and really kind of makes sure that while gear can play a role, it plays almost no role in terms of how powerful you are. So that brings us to Honor System version 3. Starts in World of Warcraft Legion, goes on forever. I'm sure we'll never do a version 4. That would be ridiculous. So here's a look at what that is. And essentially what that is a PvP talent system. So as you gain honor, you'll actually progress through honor ranks, from honor rank 1 to honor rank 50. And as you progress through those ranks, you earn a number of different perks and bonuses, and the most important ones being these PvP talents that you unlock. These PvP talents are designed completely for PvP. They give us the opportunity that our PvP team has actually been asking for me for a long time to be able to balance PvP more independently of PvE. Because these abilities will only work in places like battlegrounds and arenas. So as you progress through the honor talent tree, you'll unlock the abilities, starting actually top to bottom. So you can very quickly get up to the maximum power that your character can possibly have in terms of just sheer number of abilities and effects and passives, etc. And as you progress through that tree, you'll then go on and start unlocking the next row. And that gives you some more options to play with on your character. You might, prefer mind quickness, versus, the train of thought talent, for example. And then finally, you unlock it all at level 50. And so, really that brings us to this idea that we want to take a look at what some of these, PvP talents could be. Some examples here. Obviously, only a few examples, and obviously there's going to be a lot of balancing and tuning and tweaking of these PvP talents as we go through the beta process and all that. So some of these may change significantly, but here are some of the core ideas. For example, this first one, the Abolish Magic talent. We envision that as being a talent for the Discipline Priest, because we think that the Discipline Priest, in order to restore some of the distinction to all the different PvP specs in the game, all the different specs in the game in general, we feel like the thing that Discipline is the best at is dispelling abilities, dispelling magical effects. So here they have this ability on a 20-second cooldown that dispels all magic effects every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. It replaces your dispel magic ability. It's just better. Another option here, Adaptation. This one is a kind of core anti-crowd control ability, where anytime you're struck by a crowd control effect, you become immune for a little while, and then it has an internal cooldown. We've seen similar sorts of things in other games like Heroes of the Storm, for example. We also have Blood and Soil. This is a talent for shamans, and it allows your bloodlust to have a shorter cooldown, but be something that only affects yourself and a single target rather than the entire group. So it gives you a different spin on an ability that you already have. Another different example would be Initiation. This is one that really helps you open up on characters that have, max XP. I mean, not XP, but HP. They're at full health. So it gives you a boost to your crit chance when you first start up on them. We have Mind Quickness, a basic passive, increasing your haste. That gives us kind of a tuning knob for how powerful you can be in PvP versus PvE. Necrotic Strike is another really interesting example, because in the Necrotic Strike example, this is an ability that Death Knights have had in the past that allows them to build up a heal absorb effect that kind of absorbs incoming heals on the enemy target, which is really cool in PvP in a lot of ways, but didn't really have a lot of use for PvE. And in a world where that's just going to jumble up a lot of people's action bars, it feels a lot better to have that kind of thing in a PvP talent system where those talents that really make sense for PvP can be preserved and have that role in the game and really feel like they're focused and we know exactly what they're for. So that brings us to the next concept, which is Prestige. This is a concept that we've seen in other games, obviously like Call of Duty. And the concept here is that if you want to, you can essentially reset your honor level and go through it again. And the reason to do this would be for cosmetic rewards entirely. So if you're the type of person that just wants to be as powerful as possible with all the different PvP options, gameplay options available, you get to honor level 50, you're done, call it a day, have fun, kill a bunch of enemies, upgrade your gear slightly, and have a good time. But if you're the kind of person that really likes the prestige type of rewards, the cosmetic things, then you hit the prestige button, get the little warning dialogue that'll set you back to level 1 of honor rank, and then you go on your way to earning some cosmetic stuff. So for example, you can earn portrait badges to show how many times your character has prestige. So as you can see here on the different portraits, you have an escalating badge that gets more and more impressive. This is where we can have things like unique mounts. So in this example, it's one of the black war horses that we'll have that'll be, the only way you can get it is to go through the prestige process. And then finally, probably the coolest prestige item that you can possibly get through the honor system, through prestiging, are these unique PvP artifact variants. So if you want to get these specific looks for your artifact, the only way to do it is to go through the prestige system. And that'll signify you as somebody who has really done a lot of honor killing. Here's a look at a few more. So a lot of those those specific looks that Ian was pointing out, we're going to reserve one for PvP exclusively. They're probably very dark and shady versions of them like that. And so that really summarizes what we're talking about for Honor version 3, and hope that to us it's really exciting for us because it feels like the most significant change we made to PvP in a long time, and hope that you guys are as excited about it as we are. So with that, we conclude our PowerPoint presentation explaining more about the content and features. I want to thank everybody that's been here. Obviously, this has been a lot of stuff to digest, and want to thank you guys for coming to see us. Really appreciate it. Love you, Gamescom. And also everybody that's viewing the live stream worldwide right now. Thank you guys too. Or even if you watch it later, that's great too. Also, we're going to be on the live stream on Sunday, where we're going to be answering a number of different questions. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of questions from the community over the next couple of days. We're going to be keeping our ears opening, listening for questions, and answering as many of them as we reasonably can during the live stream on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. And finally, hope to see you all in the beta later this year. So thank you
so much, Tom, Ian, and Alex from the World of Warcraft development team. You really shed a lot of light on that expansion for us, and yeah, that even got me more hyped than before, so thank you so much for all those details. We really saw some amazing things to look forward to, and once more, of course, in the name of everyone here, thanks a lot for coming. The guys will be on the live stream, blizzgc.com. This is where you can find us from tomorrow onwards. Every evening, we're going to have guests such as the lovely guys here who are talking about their games, and we're going to show what's been happening during the day at at Gamescom. So make sure to tune in for all of that. I thank everyone for watching on stream as well at home. So we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Hello and welcome to day number 3 of our Blizzard live stream coming to you from Gamescom. It's the last day, and that means it's also our last stream. Froden, I'm really upset.
I'm upset, but I'm also happy that this is the way we ended. This week has been a lot of content, a lot of announcements, but none bigger than the upcoming World of Warcraft expansion, Legion. That's what we're going to be focusing on today.
Definitely. There has been like that big thing to be announced. I'm very happy that we're going to have developers here in our studio talking about some of the questions which have been raised by the community itself. So I think that's really great.
Absolutely. It's going to be focusing on all kinds of backgrounds as well as the cool content that we've packaged for today. Everything happening from the stages to some of the contests, as well as some questions that we want to answer on your fans' behalf.
Definitely. Also, of course, we had a lot of stuff going on the stage once more. For example, the costume contest, and yesterday also the dance contest. So, of course, we want to make sure to show you all of that, as well as the daily recap of our Gamescom day.
Now, throughout the streams, if you've been watching along for the past couple of days, we've also had a contest that's been going on, too. And there's 30 minutes remaining to vote. That's right, we've narrowed it down to just 3 contestants, and one of them will be the hashtag BlizzGC 2015 winner. They're going to be assorted with all kinds of prizes, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Again, go to blizzgc.com to submit your vote, because we're going to be closing it in just 30 minutes.
Exactly. So it's your vote that counts, and it has been for the last few days. So we started with 10 people, and now we're down to 3, and those are the 3 of a McCree.
That's right. Nailed it.
Nailed it. That's good. That picture is very serial.
Yeah, we have Raphael from Diablo 3 Reaper of
and
Souls.
Mercy.
And another
Very nice
Overwatch cosplay, which has been fantastic. The grand winner will get 17 prizes. I can't even count how many immediately just with the eyeballs, but I went back and counted it by my fingers. You get all kinds of cool stuff, statues, gaming gear, but my favorite, the Murloc mug. We have it in front of us. We can't take it home.
It's
Zoe
so good,
actually
man.
spilled a little bit of
yeah,
water
but
in
that's
excitement.
what you do with those mugs. No, dude, I love those mugs,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people who have been watching have been really jealous. So yeah, those is that's something of the stuff which the people can win. So I'm really happy about that. And yeah, I can't wait. Do you have a favorite of those 3?
You know what? I don't want to kind of bias the things, but I really think that Malfail costume is pretty badass.
It was a
it's
good
just
one.
awesome to see a lot of the details be put into those cosplays and those dress-ups, because those things take so much time to prepare.
Definitely. I mean, I was really impressed with all the cosplays we saw here at Gamescom. We're going to talk about that more a little bit later, but before that, we want to remind you on yet another contest. We have been teasing something yesterday and showing you some stuff, and today we're finally going to reveal what it is. And I couldn't be more jealous, because we are actually going to give away one of the original World of Warcraft movie props.
How
Can you
awesome
believe that?
is that?
I know,
you get
right?
something from the movie. It's coming out in 2016. A lot of people have been hearing about the Warcraft movie from Blizzard Entertainment. I can't wait to see what's going to be the final product. But more importantly, you can be part of that by getting this competition. All you have to do is take a picture of your battle poses by hashtagging Warcraft movie and hashtagging all these things and tagging on social media. Just make sure to submit it through social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and get your chance to win. This is our submission. I'm not sure if we'll win, but I'm pretty sure we're already in the running with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think we did pretty well there. But yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys are coming up with. Of course, that contest is going to run for a little bit, so make sure to submit anything you can. Your battle stances count, and you can win the shield you just saw. It's actually been standing around in our office, in our studio here for the last few days.
You'll see it again in the corner, but again, the contest will end on August 15th. Make sure to check it out, worldofwarcraft.com. Hashtag BlizzGC 2015, hashtag Warcraft movie, send in your battle poses.
Definitely, and of course, apart from all the action we have here in the studio, we also had a lot going on the main stage. So once more, of course, we made a quick recap video for you guys, so you also know what you missed in case you haven't managed to come here to Gamescom.
Show matches, contests, all kinds of content revealed. Is this not the best Gamescom ever when you're a Blizzard fan?
It really is. I mean, the Blizzard area looks absolutely beautiful. Each of those areas, we already showed you around a little bit the other days, and they're just so lovely themed, right? Like, if you're standing in the Overwatch area, you really feel like, you know, like I'm here and this is Overwatch. If you're in the Hearthstone area, you're all chillaxed. Like, it really feels like Hearthstone. So I love it. I just simply love it. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
I was just so grateful. You know, the first day we had awesome revealing of new content on the stream with the heroes and the Hearthstone team, and then we had Overwatch and Legacy of the Void be able to dive really deep into the upcoming expansion or whatever release is going to be coming out for Overwatch. But today is the main course of the meal. We have the World of Warcraft dev team joining us for some questions about upcoming expansion Legion.
Hi there, I'm Tom Chilton, and I'm the game director for World of Warcraft, and we're here in beautiful Cologne, Germany for Gamescom 2015. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. We've just announced our latest expansion for World of Warcraft, and we've got more to talk about.
And joining us right now, they're right here live in the flesh, hot off the announcement just a couple of days ago. We have Tom Chilton, game director for World of Warcraft. Tom, how's it going?
Hey there. Doing well, doing well.
All right, we also have Hazzikostas over from the senior game designer of World of Warcraft. Ian, how's your Gamescom been so far?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, coming out here and being able to announce a brand new expansion in front of all the fans in Cologne is an incredible experience. Just like getting on stage and just seeing this wall of humanity going all the way back to the end of the hall, and then hearing the roar that came out from the crowd. Can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't beat that indeed. And of course, you've also experienced it. Alex Afrasiabi, the creative director from World of Warcraft. How has your Gamescom been?
Gamescom has been amazing. I mean, I've been to a lot of BlizzCons before, but I've never felt a crowd like this. This is just something new and amazing for us.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first time that a World of Warcraft expansion announcement has been made during a Gamescom and not during a BlizzCon, so that was a really big deal for everyone here as well, you know, to be part of that. Also, I'm digging the new shirts.
Right on.
They're really nice, lovely.
There's
now,
only
of course,
4 in the world right now.
That's
is there really?
That's right.
Good. We have 3 of them in the studio. That's exclusive content, I would say. Now, guys, how has the mood been in the team leading up to Gamescom? Because it must be probably a bit chaotic, very excited. What was the mood there?
Huge amount of excitement, kind of nervous anticipation. I mean, really, it's been something that, you know, we've been working on this expansion for over a year now, year and a half, probably at least. Even we started concepting it like 2 years ago. The dates are just going to keep getting bigger. But, I mean, it's something that we've had to keep under wraps, obviously. We've known that this is what was going to be happening after Warlords of Draenor since when we first started concepting that expansion, too. So it's awesome to finally see it coming to light, to finally get to share it with the players and get to talk about it. It's like a huge relief off of all of our shoulders.
The surprise factor was phenomenal. In fact, you guys didn't even tell Zoe what the announcement was. She was introducing it in front of the entire stage, and her reaction was priceless. It was just amazing. What was it like being able to see the fans' reaction, Ian, right there? Because the passion from the German crowd was amazing.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah, one of my favorite moments before the show was actually when Tom asked Zoe what the German word for demon hunter is, and she answered, and then like a second later was like, wait a minute.
What does that mean?
Yeah, just watching like the roar of the audience at like major hits when, you know, the paladin runs by with Ashbringer in his hand, or when, you know, demon hunter comes onto the screen. It was just deafening. It was incredible.
Epic. Epic's the only way you can describe it, and you know, some people didn't get to catch all of it because it was sort of a momentary spur of the thing that you just had to be there in order to experience the emotion. We're going to try our best to capture it with this little recap video for you to enjoy.
Guys, are you excited for this expansion or what?
Rate your excitement on a scale of 1 to 10, what would it be?
9 to 10.
A 10. What else? Probably 12. 12? That's not even possible based on the range.
I think World of Warcraft is a game for itself. You can't compare it with another.
This was not our destiny.
And how long have you been waiting? Several hours. About 6 hours now. 6 hours just for this announcement? Yes, totally worth it.
My Hearthstone is already here, ready to port into the new expansion. I'm ready.
Let's roll it.
The vengeance of the burning shadow has come.
Every single person in this room that has played WoW in the last 5 to 10 years is going to be really, really surprised and shocked.
Yes! Everyone is freaking out and I'm like, woo! Demon Hunter!
Every single specialization in the game is going to have their own artifact to seek out and to wield and to use against the Legion.
Can't wait for the Legion to come back!
Awesome!
Yeah, it was awesome. It looks awesome. Everything is awesome about it. Finally, the Demon Hunters.
My hair was on edge the entire time.
I think this might be the moment when I'm going back to World of Warcraft as a player.
The Burning Legion has returned.
gotta say, World of Warcraft fans, they're so passionate. You guys have probably the most rowdy, the most passionate, the most loving fans out of any game that I've ever seen.
No doubt. I mean, I saw some of the fans high-fiving in the stand out there in the crowd when we were announcing Demon Hunter and stuff like that. Yeah. Also, when Illidan showed up, I mean, people were just like, "What?" I saw people like doing twirls. And
yeah, that's right. There was not a lot of room to move. That was very impressive, the twirling.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. No, but a lot of people have obviously been talking now ever since the announcement has been made, and the community is going nuts with questions, speculations, and all sorts of things. But we, of course, try to take a look at them and hope that some of the stuff actually gets answered here. And we want to start things off with the lore. One of the big questions which has been made was, where are we in terms of the world? Are we in the current Azeroth, or are we once more being in like a alternative reality of some sort?
That's a great question. And
thank you.
good job. We are absolutely in our Azeroth, our current Azeroth. It's important. It's extremely important to fight off the Legion in a world that we actually care about, right? So definitely that.
All right. So did Archimon send Gul'dan over there? Yes.
Yeah.
And if so, why?
Yeah. You know, and that's actually another really good question.
Thank you.
It is the integral kind of the core story of us as Azerothians. You know, why is it the Legion continues to try to take over this world and to destroy this world? And that's something that I don't want to get too spoilery, but it is a story that will unfold as we go and quest and play through the Legion expansion.
When you first saw that cinematic and we saw Gul'dan, he was pretty happy to see Illidan. Why was that?
You know, I'll tell you, I think Gul'dan is under orders, and he's got something to do. He's got plans that he has to fulfill. And I think Illidan is a really, really important part of those plans.
Yeah, speaking of which, by the way, I think people really want to know, is Illidan a bad guy here in World of Warcraft Legion, or is he on our side? And if he is on our side, won't he have kind of some resentment for what happened in the past?
Just a little bit. We're kind of trying to kill him.
You know, I think Illidan's probably pretty pissed off. You know, we put him down, and then now we're trying to find him, to have him help us potentially. And who knows how he's going to react? You know, if we ever get in touch with him or when we get in touch with him, I imagine he's going to have some words for us, and we'll see how that unfolds again throughout the expansion.
Let's hope we're prepared for those words of his.
I
went there, guys. But then
should be here all night.
Now you've mentioned during the release that we will be battling the Legion in the Broken Isles. How did the Legion get there?
So 12,000 years ago. I'm going to veer from 10,000.
Oh,
that's our
then,
normal. There was a festering wound in the land. And the ancient Highborn Night Elves at that point in time had access to all 5 of the Pillars of Creation. And that is what they actually used to seal up that wound. And on top of that wound, they built what would be their Temple of Elune, this grand temple. That wound has now been opened, and that festering fell energy is now shooting out, sparking out, and just pouring infinite numbers of demons out into our world. So it's a big deal, and we need to stop that.
Yeah, sounds like it. I mean, you did mention during the reveal that this is the biggest demonic invasion yet.
Yes.
So I can't wait to see how that's going to look like in game.
Yeah.
Well,
Scary.
I mean, we touched some of the stuff here. I think the lore really does matter because people really want to see how the story continues to unfold. And I think part of what makes it really exciting too is when we get to see those characters come to life, right? We saw the announcement of Legion, then we saw in the costume contest Illidan being the show up, Zoe.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually something making me really excited because it wasn't just an Illidan, but it was also a Maeve. And I mean, just for everyone at home, like they didn't know about that, right? That was just pure coincidence. It was all the more a big pleasure to see those two up there, but there have been so many more, and all of them have been breathtakingly beautiful and absolutely amazing. The quality of this year's costume contest was really top-notch.
That's right. We do have a lot more questions to ask, but we also want to show you guys what we're exactly talking about when we discuss that these characters really came to life. Take a look.
We look at their costumes really closely, inspect them, and judge them on accuracy, the level of craftsmanship that went into them, and kind of the degree of difficulty in pulling off the costume they were trying to make. They're just incredible.
I was like, just want to do an armor one day. And then I saw someone who wasn't thin at all and had as well a very beautiful armor. And I was like, man, I could do this too.
I'm a massive StarCraft fan, and Zeratul was like the best character at all.
When I first opened Hearthstone and I saw Valyria, I blew my mind and I thought I have to cosplay this.
I worked 2 months on it.
I couldn't even do that in 2 years. I'm really impressed right now.
It's fun to see all these people from all over Europe come together to show their passion for Blizzard and Blizzard's games. And I think maybe this year was the best one ever. It's incredible.
Female Barbarian!
Congratulations. You were cosplaying as a female barbarian and it looks like a lot of work. How long did it take you?
Well, I began last year after Gamescom actually. I'm playing it myself and I like a lot the class. It's my favorite one. I'm also really interested in Overwatch right now. For me, Zarya is the Lady Barbarian of Overwatch with a laser.
So can we maybe see you next year at Gamescom as Zarya?
Maybe.
It's amazing to see not just the costumes and the cosplay itself, but them getting to character, right? The person who won it all, she was really committed to the role.
Oh yeah, that roar, that barbarian roar, I think that sold it to me. How about you, Ian? You actually been one of the judges.
Yeah, I had the good fortune of sitting there up close and getting to see those costumes and inspect them. Like, the work that went into them is just incredible. And yeah, I think it was, they were also doing a great job of kind of role-playing and really getting into the character. I think for me it was between that barbarian costume and the Magni Bronzebeard that just looked lifelike. But that barbarian roar on the stage just put her over the top.
Yeah, actually, yesterday you told me something about the Bronzebeard I wouldn't have guessed by seeing it. You guys just saw him on the stream.
Yep.
So what would that big secret be?
That was a woman under that costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. What?
Yes. Yeah, that was a woman.
I didn't know that. That was
yeah.
crazy.
That was just my reaction.
Amazing costume.
You know, the job she did with like the facial. I don't even know what
like
she used for
prosthetics.
it. Yeah, that
it was
so cool.
Over the
She
top.
went the 9 yards. And she didn't win? Okay, well, that just shows how competitive it is here at the cosplay contest.
What kind of blind people do they have judging this thing? Anyway?
I don't know, man. They need to replace them for next year.
No, but it was a really tough one. How did you guys enjoy it? Did you get to see any of the cosplays?
Yeah, I did. It was awesome. And I think, if Magni had done a stone form kind of thing and transformed into stone, that would have pushed her over the edge.
Yeah.
So next time.
How about you, Alex?
I loved it. Illidan was my favorite, obviously.
Weird.
That's right. In fact, if you missed the costume contest, it's going to be put onto the Blizzard YouTube with live stage main commentary for all the cosplay enthusiasts. But let's not get too derailed from the conversation. Let's go back to some of the questions. I think the second topic that we want to talk about are the new zones that will be included in the expansion.
Definitely. Now, of course, one of the things you've mentioned when you introduced the expansion and all the new zones was Dalaran. I know a lot of people got excited about that. Now, of course, we're wondering, is the Dalaran, which is currently Northrend, is that one just casually flying over to the Broken Isles? Or?
Right. Well, conceptually it is. Conceptually it's moving from Northrend over to the Broken Isles. But, of course, the Dalaran that players have there in Northrend right now, they're leveling up from 70 to 80. We view each expansion as kind of a period in time. And of course, if you're leveling there, you need Dalaran to be there. But the one that we have in the Broken Isles is conceptually the same Dalaran. It's been updated a little bit, so there's some changes to some of the locations within Dalaran itself. There are changes in the underbelly. There's some texture updates. We combine all that, and it'll still have a lot of the same nostalgia that it did before, and a lot of the same functionality.
Oh, lovely! Can't wait to see that.
With a new area and a new continent, I think people really want to know: can I fly to this new continent, the Broken Isles, by myself, or do I have to take more conventional routes, similar to how it was in Wars of Draenor, for example?
Well, I think the person best equipped to answer that would be our flying representative, Ian Hazzikostas.
All right.
Yes.
Take it away.
My favorite topic. No, so I think Eventually, yes, but not right away. And I think that's consistent with the philosophy we laid out in our Dev Water Cooler blog post a few weeks back, where we said that, our solution for Warlords was a template that we could see applying going forward. And we're going to be enabling flying in the very near future in Warlords, and we think that strikes a good compromise between, allowing the ground-based gameplay to shine as people initially explore the world, but then allowing people who have achieved and completed the content to take to the skies and then experience it from an all-new perspective. One thing we are going to do in Legion is, starting in 7.0, the first steps of the achievement to eventually unlock flying will be available so players can start working towards it and get a sense of what it's going to require.
That's nice. I like that. I like to work for it because also like you may or may not skip some really lovely areas, and there's always so much to see in new areas. Like it would be a shame to just fly over it.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that you're talking about addressing it currently in Worlds of Draenor and being able to acknowledge that for the future expansion as well.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you have been asked about that flying stuff a lot. Like, your face just kind of gave it. I was like, yeah, I've heard that one
You're like,
before.
oh, God, the question again.
Once or twice.
All right,
Once or twice must have been.
No, it's good to be able to address it directly, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Thanks for answering
on
it.
top of zones, I think a lot of the things that people also are excited about were the artifacts that come with this expansion.
yeah.
And there's a lot of questions, too. So let's go ahead and start and rewind from the beginning here. So this artifacts, how will they play a big role here in the expansion, Ian? And, moving forward, what's the progression through as we go through the content?
Well, so artifacts, as was said in the presentation, they're kind of your companion, your most trusted ally as you work your way through Legion and fight the Burning Legion themselves. It's going to be one of the first things that you do when you start out the expansion. You will claim your artifact and build it up from there. I think there's two separate progression paths. So there's the artifact power that you earn and spend on traits that we mentioned in the presentation. A part that didn't get mentioned is sort of the DPS throughput item level of your weapon itself. And that's going to be derived from powerful relics that you will obtain through pretty traditional sources. You can socket those into your weapon, and those will increase its damage, its spell power, and they also interplay and modify some of the traits that you have socketed as well. And so that really is going to take the place of traditional weapon drops that you would normally get from quest rewards, dungeons.
Are there still any of those, or is that just kind of irrelevant by that?
There are probably some early on for catch-up purposes, but beyond, the very early level-up zones, it's not something that we expect to see because you should have your artifact, and that is going to be the thing that you progress. But through, these relics that you get, you're still going to have the core experience of leveling up and getting a stronger weapon that just hits harder. And that way, when you kill a mythic raid boss, it's going to drop a way more powerful relic than what you'd get from a raid finder boss or a quest in the outdoor world.
Okay, and what about dual specs here? Like, how are the artifacts working with that?
Yes, that's definitely something we've heard a lot. We know there are many players who maybe might level as Retribution and get their Ashbringer right away, but they're also going to spec Holy and heal dungeons for a friend on the way up, or maybe spec Holy at max level to raid. And we want to make sure that, it's not a multiplicative additional amount of effort to maintain multiple artifacts. You'll start out with one single artifact, but pretty shortly after that, you'll have the opportunity to go out and earn the others if that's something that you care about and that you want to do for your character. And then from there, we have some catch-up mechanisms in mind that, in general, make it much easier and faster to get your second or third artifact up to speed and to the same power level as your main one. Now, the one part that won't directly carry over are the relics I was just talking about.
Okay.
There, you would need to earn separate relics for the additional weapon, but that's not really very different from the arms warrior today who needs to go out and get a sword and shield from a boss or from a quest line or from crafting if they want a tank.
And, of course, we have that little loot spec drop down now for people that are doing content, so you could always kind of set your loot spec to Holy if you were doing Ret, and you'd be able to get relics that were for your Holy artifacts.
Exactly. All right, neat, lovely. Now, one thing which actually, I don't think it actually has been covered during the presentation or anything else yet, professions. Is there anything you can share on in terms of professions so far?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, professions are definitely a focus for us this expansion. We got a lot of feedback that the players felt like garrisons replaced too much of the garrison, the professions functionality. So what we've done is we've made a bigger team of professions designers than we've ever had before, including a designer that has created a quest line for each individual profession.
Oh, that's great. I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely.
And then we're also looking into some systems changes to kind of freshen the system a little bit. It's been very, it's been very much the same for a long time now. So we're looking into some updates that will not only improve the UI, but also kind of add new functionality with being able to gain expertise in individual recipes, stuff like that.
Well, I personally can't wait. I mean, we get to see like Ashbringer and all the different variations of it. It's going to be so cool. And of course, I think people are just can't wait to get their hands on the content, but this is a good opportunity to remind people, again, for who's just coming into the stream, we said this at the very beginning, but not only can you get these cool weapons and artifacts for the upcoming expansion, but you can also get a piece of the Warcraft movie, Zoe, if they enter into the contest. All you have to do, again, send in your battle poses to the photos on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, hashtag Warcraft movie, hashtag BlizzGC 2015, and send in your coolest pictures.
Yeah, and you can win an original movie prop. We actually have it here in the studio. It's this lovely shield of the Alliance. And man, I'm so jealous about that. I can't.
I don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
Well, you see, the thing is, you could actually send in some battle poses too.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I'll have to get that info.
Good.
Maybe we should start up a new contest of some sort, like maybe a game design contest, and whoever gets their game design into the game can get some movie props. What do you guys think?
Works for me.
Works for him. All right. The confidence is definitely there. And now we saw a lot of confidence on our stage as well, because we had live raids going on there with Method, one of, if not the best guild at the moment. So those live raids were happening on the stage. They raced against each other. It was a battle between Alliance and Horde, and of course we took a look at that as well. So check it out.
Set sail for Vale!
I guess the biggest difference is that Method is the top team, and we usually raid 5 days a week. So I would still say like a hardcore guild, but definitely not as professional and time-intensive as Method does.
Die Nummer 1 Raid-Gilde der Welt. Hier bei uns auf der Bühne. Method, Riesenapplaus! Fünf, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
The only thing that was kind of nervous-ish is when you walk up on stage, but when you sit down, you forget about everything and just focus on the game again.
We had a lot of trouble on the third boss. There is a spell that you're not supposed to kick. And unfortunately, one of our players kicked it, and she went to the arcane phase where she starts exploding, and we wiped there, so we had to run all the way back, and we lost a lot of time because of it.
Set sail for Vale! Method, come to the stage.
It didn't work out quite as well as it did yesterday. We managed to screw up the first pull, which is the hardest, as much as you can, and then because you're live on stage, you kind of start panicking.
2, 1, go! Method!
We are 2-2-1. Today is the final match that will decide who will win. We tried to change up some tactics for one of the bosses to kill him a lot quicker than we usually do. We practiced that a little bit and hopefully it'll work out.
We're going to talk through the strategy once more and execute it perfectly.
I think that's kind of an accomplishment, especially for the 5 of us, since we can't make the other players play better. At least we can say that we did our part, and so that was really awesome.
Thanks for your support, guys. We really appreciate it. During progress as well, it always motivates us. Thank you very much.
Lots of cool content on this stage, but I mean, the raid was definitely one of the coolest.
It was. Did you see? They were rewarded with Frostmourne, so that's going to be a tough fight in between the guild now to battle out who is taking that one
You're
home.
just giving away really cool prizes.
I know, right?
One after another. You got to be careful because I mean,
Yeah,
there's
next
not
year
many
I
Frostmournes
probably
left.
want to just participate in all the contests and not host the, actual stream here.
Should be raiding on stage.
Yeah, really should be, but I don't think we would do quite as good as Method would. Now, guys, did you have a chance to actually watch the live raid on stage?
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't catch the challenge modes on Thursday or Friday since we had a couple of things going on Thursday that took most of our attention.
Yeah, I heard of it.
You might have heard of it. But and then yes, I definitely saw the live raid in person yesterday and today. They were really exciting, close races. In both of them, actually, Set Sail for Fail was ahead the whole way through, and then they wiped in the last boss, and then that let Method pull back ahead. But it was really close.
Have you been able to catch any of the other action on the main stage too, Alex, at all? From just maybe the raids or even some of the other stuff?
Yeah, almost all of it. I've been here pretty much every day. Whether I'm working or dance contest was
definitely.
kind of the highlight.
That was your highlight. Wow.
Oh yeah,
well,
I like the costume
he was one of the judges.
I was the judge, and it took everything in my power not to get up there and do my female gnome because I do an amazing female gnome.
All right.
Yeah.
Does he really? Have you guys seen it?
I would never show them.
That's all he does at the office.
Is that one of those when I'm alone? Okay, I have those as well.
Standing on his desk.
Yeah.
Male night elf.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about that dance contest later. In the meantime, we want
Definitely.
to continue some of the questions that we have from the community. So what's coming up next?
Yes, the next one we have is, of course, the new announced class, Demon Hunter. The crowd went absolutely crazy when you even just started mentioning it, and they lost it completely when you started describing it. Now, can you maybe quickly explain the Demon Hunter class to everyone who hasn't been fortunate enough to watch it already?
Wow, that's crazy. Who would do that?
I know, right?
So the Demon Hunter class is one that we considered introducing it in the Burning Crusade. It would have been appropriate there too, but at the time we weren't really comfortable with adding a new class to the game. But the Demon Hunter class has a lot of history, both in the earlier Warcraft games like Warcraft 3, through the Illidan character, through the Illidari and the Burning Crusade. So we really felt like it was super appropriate for this expansion. They're high mobility, agile class that dashes around the battlefield, doing a lot of damage.
What's the process of designing a new class, especially one with so much anticipation like the Demon Hunter?
Right. Well, really, what we start with is the fantasy of it. And so we look at all the inspirations for that class. In this case, it was the Warcraft 3 game with the Demon Hunter and Illidan there, Heroes of the Storm. They've got Illidan, the Illidari, how they kind of look, the whole style of everything. We tried to think of, what is the core fantasy of that class, and then identify class mechanics that would really go with that well. And once we do that, we try to prototype them very quickly, and then we go through a process of iterating on them, shaving out the ideas that aren't working, introducing new ideas until we feel like we have a really good package.
Okay. I do have one follow-up too. Now that we have 12 classes here, or we will have 12 classes in the expansion, will we get a 12 character slot so that way we can have one of each class on a single realm?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
good.
Easy.
Yes. So that way we don't have anything
Yes.
left out. Good, I like that. Straightforward
Got
answers.
you covered.
Good. Thank you so much. I'm very happy about that one since I have a few characters too many. Now, of course, if you're looking at the class exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
clearly.
really good at that. The Demon Hunter has been introduced as one of the classes with a melee DPS as well as a tank spec.
Right.
Very much like the Monk and the Death Knight. How different is it from those two other classes? And do those two have to fear for their raid slots now of some sort? Or
No, I don't think they'll have to fear for their raid spot. Certainly, the Demon Hunter is very different from the Death Knight because the Death Knight is a heavily armored, slow, very deliberate, and has a very different style to it. I would say that you could say that the Demon Hunter is more similar to the Monk, except that the Monk is a little bit more, I guess, what we would call hybridized. They do use a lot of mobility, but they also use it to kind of escape and heal up, do stuff like that. Whereas that's really not the Demon Hunter kit as far as the type of healing sort of magic type of stuff. So the Demon Hunter is really all about being in your face, very aggressive, doing a lot of damage, trying to avoid damage where possible using evasion, things like that, damage mitigation types of abilities. And so it really has a different flavor, and we're going to make sure that they all feel very distinctly. And then as far as raid spots go, fortunately, we have the advantage these days of having the scaling raid sizes,
Sure.
right? So when a person gets added to the raid, it doesn't mean anybody loses a spot, which is great. That, and we also kind of feel like a lot of people that play the Demon Hunter are also going to be people that would have been playing melee specs anyways.
Probably,
right?
yes.
So we don't have a reason to believe right now that it'll crowd the box around the boss too much. So we won't have like everybody standing in melee range or something like that.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see 100,000 of Demon Hunters on my server right when it comes
yeah,
out.
pretty much.
I mean,
Raid with 20 Demon Hunters. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, no, that's what happens when new
Yeah.
thing came out. I very much remember when we first got to play Paladin in Classic on the Horde side.
Right.
All of a sudden, they were all over the place. There's nothing.
Yeah. Well, if we end up with too many, we're just going to require everybody to have Demon Hunter tattoos to play the class.
I think, yeah, that's a
and
solid
then
one.
that'll slim it down.
I saw there's a swimmer in Russia that already is ahead of the game, so we'll be allowed. But
Easy,
yeah.
easy.
But yeah, it reminds me of remember when Death Knight came out. I remember screenshots of the 40 Death Knight Alterac valleys the first week.
Oh man,
fun times.
Good times. Good times. Well, I think that pretty much satisfies all of our questions
It
here.
does,
But
it does
you know, we do want you guys to stick around because you did mention the dance contest earlier, just a few minutes ago, and we do want to show some of the highlights that we had from we saw the dance contest. So here, take a look.
It's harder than it looks.
How exhausted are you after that?
Very, very, very much.
It was awesome. Great.
All are good. Every dancer was dancing very good, but the number 6 was my favorite.
Is it a girl?
Yes, of course.
Of course it is.
Der erste Platz geht an Jenny! Herzlichen Glückwunsch!
Congratulations. It was a lovely performance you gave us there, a female goblin. Why did you choose that dance?
It was just a spontaneous idea because my brother said, hey, that's just something for you. And I said, yes, what should I do? Yes, the goblin, do the goblin. I said, okay, I can do it.
How much time did you actually have to prepare for it?
1 hour behind it.
So you learned the whole dance in 1 hour backstage and then you came first?
Dance is dance. It's World of Warcraft is dancing, live is dancing, everything is dancing. I love it. Dancing is nice.
So I guess the last follow-up question is, how good is the Demon Hunter's dance skills, right? I think that's what people want to know. Huh?
Well, you know, they do have the double jump. So even though they have the same racial dance as other, you know, night elves or blood elves, they've got that double jump to mix in, and that really will take them over the top, literally.
All right.
I'm really interested to know what kind of dances you guys would choose if you would have to. Would you actually have one favorite of the dances you secretly practice and would never ever tell anyone? Totally stays between us.
Alex does the
Alex, we know mine.
Yeah.
My female no.
Is it famous of some sort or?
Among some crowds, in some circles, it is.
All right,
yes.
sweet.
Mostly just me in the office.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, guys, we've had a lot of fun throughout the weekend, and it's actually time. We're 10 minutes past the deadline for the contest winners, and I think it's time to reveal who actually gets the prize of hashtagging BlizzGC 2015.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see there he is. That is our winner, and it is a really sick good cosplay.
Good, it's my favorite.
I really, really like that one. No, that deserved to win. And yeah, here we once more see what they're getting. It's just the biggest list of awesome things I actually want to have.
Yeah,
so
pretty
congratulations.
much,
I'm jealous.
A Blizzard decoration. You know, you get an extreme makeover Blizzard edition. That's kind of what happens here.
Exactly. So congratulations, and of course, thanks to everyone who has been sending in stuff. I've been following this contest for the past 6 weeks, and I enjoyed so many of them. Did you guys get a chance to look at some of the contributions?
Was the winner appropriate?
Definitely.
Do
Yeah,
seems like
definitely.
it's amazing. The quality, the craftsmanship, unbelievable.
And they were serialed.
Yeah.
So that's you know, it's pretty good.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's pretty much all that we have for now. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by, answering all the questions, being able to take your time out. It's been a wonderful Gamescom. Do you have any final words, Tom, before we let you go?
Mostly just thank you to everybody for tuning in. You know, we really hope to dazzle you with an amazing expansion.
Yeah, and we'll keep looking out for what the community is discussing, what your thoughts are, concerns, questions, and we'll try to get more information out there in the future as we can. But meantime, yeah, thank you for the great reception, and we have a lot of work to do.
The trip back to the U.S. going to be really hard for you, Alex, now that you've been hanging out here in Germany for a few days?
We'll see. I think I'm going to take a couple days off for sure because jet lag and just Kolsch overload.
Great.
So you did the German way proper. So I like that. Okay, good. When in Germany, you know. But it's been fantastic to have you here. You guys are heading back soon, and they're gonna go to Irvine into their main offices, and that's actually a place.
Expansion's drawing near.
Yeah, you know, like got stuff to do. But you actually have been in that lovely office there as well, and took a look around. So I can't wait to see your little office tour of the Blizzard headquarters.
Hey guys, it's Frodan. I'm here at the Blizzard Entertainment headquarters in Irvine, California to give everybody tuning into the live stream at Gamescom an inside look at the studios and the daily happenings around campus. This is where the likes of Azeroth, Sanctuary, and the Nexus collide. If you guys are ready, let's get going. Follow me. Okay, first up, I'm standing in front of the Blizzard campus centerpiece, the Wolf Rider, also known as the Orc statue. This one-of-a-kind statue is forged from bronze, and trust me, it's as fierce in person as it looks on screen. Surrounding the statue are the core values of Blizzard, as well as the company's mission statement. Hosted by the entrance here, we have a giant statue of Grommash, where he's standing guard over the lobby, museum, and the theater. The trophy cases in the museum are home to the awards Blizzard franchises have gathered over the years. Working for Blizzard also has its awards. For 5 years of service, they give you a sword. For 10, they give you a shield. For 15, you get a ring. And for 20-year veterans here at Blizzard, they get a helm. Currently, the exhibit on display is all about the rich history of Warcraft and World of Warcraft. In it, you can see all kinds of art, concept sketches, and neat little behind-the-scenes production tidbits. This exhibit also includes the creations of Blizzard's passionate community of fan art, machinima, and some insane cosplay. For example, this is the Tier 2 Judgment set by Chris White. Let's head over to the library. All right, I don't know about you guys, but when I think library, I don't think about comic books, consoles, tabletop games, and DVDs. That's exactly what this library is packed with. Employees are always free to come in, browse, and get inspiration for their projects, or pull up a chair, start a D&D adventure at this massive gaming table. Now, before I go, I have to show you some of these amazing statues that are here on the campus. You may have seen some of them from the previous years at BlizzCon, and right here behind me is what debuted in last year's Azeroth Choppers. And now, all of these are parked here on the Blizzard HQ for you to enjoy. Now, it says don't touch, but
Very smooth throat, and
No one saw it.
No one will ever know what you did there.
It.
I would have done the same thing, though. No, it looks like a very cool place to work at, so I guess the guys will be very happy to go back to that lovely, lovely place, which basically for me looked like the best place in the world.
It's one of them for sure. I mean, I think being here at Gamescom was certainly one of the best places this weekend.
That was a pretty good place to be.
But we're done. We're done, Zoe. I mean, let's go ahead and just talk about what our favorite moments were. So why don't you start off? What's been your favorite moment?
All of it.
All of it. The entire thing. The entire 4.5 days.
No, yeah, all of it. No, I mean, I just generally really love to be able to talk to like developers in the studio, asking them the questions, mostly if I know that those questions are partially also coming from the community. It's so nice to see how they really try to, share as much as they can and like shed some light on stuff and not always just keeping us like, hanging in the darkness, which I love too because it hypes the excitement. But
Yeah,
that was just really,
part
really
of the thrill.
great. And it was so nice to see them. Most of the devs, they have been at the show floors and on all the different booths. And they have been playing with the fans, talking to the fans, and just like mingling with the crowd. And you know, like if you're a normal player and if you're not familiar with these kind of events and you're not really working in the industry, you would never expect like your idols, because those people are idols to some people, right? They have been making those games we love and play for so many years, for so many hours. I personally wouldn't have expected them to just like, you know, hey, here, let's hang out, let's have a chat. Let me tell you about it. So yeah, they're very real, and I just love that, and I love to see it.
Yeah, my favorite moments has been just being able to experience the hype of it all. You know, being able to be here while they announce Legion is something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life, because those moments when you package them are ones you can tell people and they'll never understand. They'll just be like, oh, that's really cool. But for you, it's those amazing moments that make your hair stand up, that gives you the goosebumps. And I'll take that away for the rest of my life. So I've enjoyed Gamescom so much, and you guys can enjoy it as well. Make sure to catch everything on our YouTube channel for the Blizzard Entertainment. If you want to get some recaps of the event, if you want to see some of the devs talk once more, if you want to listen in, try to see if you can decode what the devs mean for release dates of betas. Not sure, but again, it's going to be on the Blizzard YouTube. And don't forget also to enter into the contest by hashtagging Warcraft Movie and hashtag BlizzGC 2015. Post your battle poses to see if you can get to enter to win the Warcraft Movie Prop Shield.
Yeah, and that was already it from us. Frodan, it's been an absolute pleasure to working here on the desk with you, and it's been an absolute pleasure to working for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we very much hope to see you again next year.